Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, man, I can hear you.
All right. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, man. I'm just at my nighttime job, so I snuck in the back to watch this little bit of this.
Nice. What's up, Sean? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Gary?
Doing all right. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been like what, 2 months or so?
Yeah, something like that. Is the caravan still going on over there or what?
Yeah, all the caravans are going. All the caravans are going. Some of them are
Been
dying, but
yeah, it's been dead.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right. So Phil's here too. He's gonna help me kind of manage this today. His camera's not on, but he can hear. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask everybody to go on mute. And we're just gonna do one person at a time, just because last time it was a little bit crazy. So if you want, just if you have a question or whatever, um, just raise your hand and we'll hit you guys up. And I mean, if it just stays us, then we could probably just all go off mute. But as people come in, um, probably be better to just have one person at a time talking because it gets a little crazy. um, but yeah, weather over here is not great. So I've been off all day. Sean's probably in the same boat. Um, um,
I snuck out and got about 2 hours of some work done this morning, but yeah, it was raining all the way to the site, and then I had about this much of blue sky for while I was there, and then
yeah,
it started in right as I left.
yeah. I guess we're supposed to get hit hard tomorrow. So bunker down. There you are,
Yeah.
Phil. We can see you now. Oh, you're at the beach.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, this is my shithole of an office.
Dude, mine. I had to just arrange mine a different way so it didn't look so crazy in the background. But I have shoes all over the floor over that way.
That's right, you're a big
um,
shoe guy.
yeah, got pretty addicted. Daniel and Rick, I mean, if it's just us, if you guys want to unmute, dude, go for it. Um, but you're just hanging out right now. Anybody have questions you want to talk about right now?
Um, I have a giant AC unit going, so I don't know if that's kind of messing with my audio, but
I
um,
can hear you good.
yeah, I don't know. Lately, I've been assisting a few like editorial photographers out in Toronto and stuff like that, and
Mm.
uh, we're doing a lot of like shooting through windows and stuff like that. And I can't remember, like, are you doing any of that? Like kind of shooting through
Like
windows?
lighting through the windows.
Yeah, like simulating
Yeah,
sunlight that way and stuff. And
totally,
do you ever add
totally.
gels?
I don't really mess with gels. I've done it in the past, and I think I like doing it for portraits, but I don't really do it on site for using that kind of for like in interiors, but I've never really needed it to. I mean, um the flashes will be pretty close to daylight most of the time for me. And if I'm like, and I try to cut down any of the ambient light, like if there's like interior lighting on, I'll dim it or just I cut the exposure way down when I'm doing my flash frames. So I'm pretty much get like the dominant light is the flash, and I don't get a lot of light pollution from the interior lighting just because it's the exposure is cut so far down.
Fair.
What
So if
flash
Yeah,
you,
system are you shooting, Gary?
I shoot Canon.
So it's all Canon?
Hmm.
I mean, the flashes.
Oh, flashes are the Godox flashes, just like
Yeah,
the
that's
200, the 600, and the 400. I have all those.
Daniel,
But
Are you gelling the lights to correct between the interior light and the flash? Or are you doing it for creative reasons?
So it's creative reasons. So the white balance
Mm.
set for, lights off, typically, but it'd be set for the scene, and then I'd pop my flash outside, um, and then I'd gel it maybe with like a half CTO or something like that. So the room
Mm.
still maintains its proper white balance, but the light coming in makes it look like it's early morning coming through the
Ah,
windows,
Yeah.
or it's about to become twilight, or something like that. Like it's just
like a
going
little more golden light, huh?
golden light.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a bad
Yeah,
idea.
I think that's pretty common for like those kind of shoots.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've never really done that. If I need that frame to be a little warmer or something, like I'll just adjust that white balance, but I usually edit pretty neutral. Um, so that's a good idea though. Um, um,
But I guess if you're killing all the ambient light, then you could just adjust, yeah, you could just like adjust the temperature of those frames and brush it in normal mode, and you'd
yeah,
still get the same kind of effect, I think, probably.
yeah. And even if like you just use a color mode or screen sometimes, I kind of flip
Okay.
through them depending on what like I'm going for.
Yeah.
Sometimes lighten works best, sometimes screen works better. I use darken a lot too,
Yeah.
especially when I'm mixing my flash frames, to try to get like reflections out of windows and stuff like that. Because I'll just like light side to side sometimes, and then kind of brush in gray mask on. I'll put a gray mask and then brush in half and brush out half, so I'm basically removed from both photos. And then if there's reflections left, you can double those up and turn them to darken, and it'll cut those out. But just like little layer tricks. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, um, I would probably, I wouldn't mind experimenting with some of the gels though too. That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and like it's nice to see the like a lot of it is getting it done in camera right away, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's I've been trying to do more of that lately. Especially because shining through the windows helps you kind of achieve that better. And you can do a fill inside for just bringing up the shadows a little bit. And then, but there is just a little bit of like flashiness that I like bringing the ambient in just to kind of brush in some shadows, some soft shadows and stuff.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, but definitely shooting in the windows. I think Phil's been getting into that too lately.
Yeah.
Um, it has a nice effect.
We have Stephen Carlish, he's coming up to Toronto. Like I'm out in Canada, so I'm about an hour
Mm.
away from Toronto. So we have him coming up in Toronto, and my buddy's going to that, and I'm talking with him, so I might be able to assist him on that. He's trying to see where to fit me in, but that'll be pretty cool to see like his 3-day workshop and see how he does stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is he more of like a high-end interior photographer?
Yeah, like he's really good. He's in pretty much every magazine you can find,
Mm.
and he his 3-day intensive sold out within 24 hours, and they always do. So he made about
Hmm.
60 grand Canadian in less than 24 hours just selling the
Wow.
workshop.
What's
So
what's his name?
Stephen Carlish, Karlisch.
Check him out. I actually just met up with one of my friends, and she was telling me that she went to the Mike Kelly workshop in Finland,
Oh
and
wow.
she was like, it was insane. Um, I was telling Philip about it too, but yeah, I would love to go. I've been to one workshop, but not. It was a real estate workshop.
Oh
So
yeah.
the we weren't. It was more focused on less creative, more kind of production. But it was cool. But what my friend was telling me sounded totally different than the workshops I've thrown or or been to or whatever. It was
Mhm.
like a lot of it was trying to get you out of uh, your standard create, like get you into a new space in your brain, and like your eyes seeing things differently, um, which sounds cool. It's like a little more artsy, I guess. But yeah, that would be tight if you ended up going to that.
Yeah, a lot of his work, he's setting up like full walls of silks and just shooting, blasting through that and stuff like that. And the one thing that was really cool that I learned from him, because obviously I came from real estate photography, and like I just started photography literally a year ago. So like I'm still learning, but
Mm.
I used to think like your ISO has to be as low as possible. And I remember watching one of your videos, and you pretty much said you always have it at 640 at the time of that video.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, nice, I can go to 640. And
Yeah,
then that's going to give some more power to my flash, which at the time was just a speed light. And then
yeah,
I was listening to a Stephen Carlish workshop, and obviously the work he does. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm frequently shooting at about 1600 ISO with my flashes. Sometimes I'll go up to the 2000s and stuff. And I was like, whoa, that opens
hmm,
a lot of, we stick each like ourselves in like a box of like, well, can't do that. That's like, that
yeah,
ISO's too high. I'll never do that. And
yeah.
it's like, yeah, seeing that.
Well, with the, I don't know if you've messed with that new AI noise reduction in Lightroom, but
Oh yeah,
that
it's
thing is crazy.
yeah,
It's, I mean, you could shoot, especially like if you're shooting flash, you could probably shoot at any ISO and
exactly.
have that thing. Yeah, it's crazy. But I've that's a trick too. Like if I keep it at 640 to start, because I know that's like a really low noise point still. I mean, it's almost like shooting at 160 or something, like really low still. Just because it's in that, like it's in the native, like the native ISO
Whatever.
like multiplication, you know.
Oh,
But if you have to go up, I'll go up, and if I need to go down, I'll go down. That's why I like being at 640.
yeah.
Because sometimes like I don't know how it is out there, but here we got to shoot into the sun a lot at the beach or something like that, and I have super harsh sun, so I'll have to cut down. And then you can't go too much with the shutter. I'm always at my sync speed, so can't cut down that way. So you have to be able to cut down somewhere else.
Mhm.
And I don't want to mess with aperture either. So it's mostly just ISO. And then if I have to go down to 100, even I will. But that's why I like having strong flashes too. It helps combat that a lot.
Are you running like a 600?
If I have to,
Yeah.
I always go into a house and like give it a walkthrough first. And I kind of get an idea of what I'm going to need. Like if it's a smaller house, the 200 is more than enough. But I like shooting with multiple flashes too. So I usually will bring a 400 and a 200 or 200s. But it's nice to have the extra power on the 400 or something if you need it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You can just get that nice blanket of light so easily with a little bit more power.
Mhm. We
Yeah.
just shot a college the other day, and we were we popped out the 600, and we just wanted to see, because we were in a library and it was like a big open space.
Mhm.
Um, and the guy I was assisting, he was like, let's just pop one and see what it does. And it actually helped a lot in that room.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, now I need to invest in a 600, like there goes more money. But
Oh yeah.
yeah.
At least they're not like Pro Photo or Ellen Chrome or something like that.
I guess.
I don't even understand why. Godox does, it's amazing for the price.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But recently I was shooting a really big house. Um, and it had like one of those really big slide open doors, and it was bright outside but kind of dim inside. And I had three lights set up, and I had my 600 with a shoot through umbrella, and I was kicking that thing at full blast from like outside in they call it a California room, but it's like it's like a covered room, but it's indoor outdoor kind of. So I'd like pull the flash off out of the frame just enough and then blast it back into the room, and I was getting some really good results with that. Being able to stop down to like 160, and then I'll put my 400 up in the ceiling just to kind of give it that blanket, and then I had my 200 where I was going through like incident like spots, like I had it on a small softbox, so I go like light up the cabinets or like light the table in front and just like kind of hot spots and spots. But like every time I popped a frame, the big lights were going, and then I was doing the little incident pops everywhere. And when you blend those together, that's my favorite kind of way to blend the flash, because it stays so consistent with the big lights, and then you just pop those little guys around and it's just brush in what you want, and then give it a little bit of love with the ambient later, and solid.
Yeah, like right now I'm only working with two lights mainly, and I want to start working with more because yeah, just having that like fill light or whatever, and then just being able to add on to that, like what I've seen in your videos, it makes putting it together so much easier.
Yeah, and the flash frames, I mean, when you get good with the light and like your light management, your flash frames could be finals. I mean, you could run them through Lightroom, do color adjustments real quick, and then I mean, they can be done. Yeah.
That's sweet. I gotta pop out for a little bit, but I'll be back very shortly.
All right, brother. What's
All
up,
right,
Dave?
guys. We have everyone muted, but if you want to say something, just raise your hand or whatever, and we'll get you unmuted.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave was here last time. He saw how it kind of got a little out of hand. So we're going to try to keep it a little bit more organized this time, but still kind of like not that many people in here. So, oh, yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Muted.
Let's see. Yeah, you can just unmute yourself. Let's see.
I was just saying congratulations on the PFRE thing.
Oh, thanks, man.
That
That
was
was I haven't entered in a while, and that was my first time getting back in there and nailed it. So that was cool. Thank you.
good shot, really pretty shot.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite. I mean, it's still one of my favorite shots I've ever done. That house was incredible. But it's like Disneyland shooting at a house like that, but it came out really nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Gavin, did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask. So I'm the newbie here. So what's the in terms of like the industry? What is the RFE? I've totally butchered the name, but give me the background of that contest and what's the organization all about?
Oh, it's a PFRE, photography for real estate. Um, you can just go to the website or whatever, but the contest, it started on Flickr a long time ago. I think I started entering it in like 2015 or 2016, and then it kind of got bigger. The website got built, and then Brandon Cooper used to run it. And he's up in Canada. I forget where exactly, but it's like this little tiny town. And but then he ended up selling it, and then the company that bought it revamped the whole website. And I think like since Brandon and them weren't really involved, I think they're just doing the convention now. Like they're responsible for the real estate photography convention. I think he focuses on that. And then ever since he kind of got out of it, it seems like the contest has kind of had less entries and stuff. But it's a fun little thing to just be able to flex with your clients and share on Instagram if you win. And it's also just it's nice. You get a little badge or whatever. You don't win anything, but just like bragging rights, I guess. But
Nice.
it's fun. Yeah.
The days when we get critiques and things like that,
Yeah, it used to be really good for that. Tony Colangelo used to go on there and like he would really go in on your photos, and he helped me a lot he's great. He's super great. But he used to go in there and just like break, and he's like a doctor or something, or like a psychologist. So he would give you the full page of like your whole thing, and explain what, like, where you can improve and what you did right and stuff. And that's why I used to enter a lot for just for that. But yeah, Dave's right though. It used to be really good for that. I don't even see how you can I don't see any
You can,
feedback on any images, but
yeah, like I said, you can leave a comment, but I don't see them like listed there. You know.
yeah, and the judges used to leave comments on there and like kind of, I mean, there is a little bit more motivating, I feel like, back then when people would really, like, they were engaged, you know. So I don't know if it's ever going to get back like that, but I said, like, I
Yeah.
might as well just start entering again. I want to win photographer of the year at some point. That's so I want to get back
Why
in
not?
there. Yeah, might as well. I think Phil entered this month, so
I'm entry 9892.
there you go. I haven't entered yet.
Uh,
I don't know if I'm gonna, but
no,
I
you
should.
shouldn't. Don't do it. Gary, Jason in the chat had a question. He wanted to know what soft boxes or diffusers you're using with your 200 or 400 and 600, and like what typical
Okay.
sizes do you find are your go-tos?
Okay.
Like Dave's got
Look
a
at
good
that,
example for
Dave.
the 200. Yeah,
That's the little mag box thing, right? Mag mod.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I haven't.
Sick.
I use two of these, and then like one of the round ones. The Wayne Capelli got me into those small flashes. Usually, real light any room just perfect, like you were saying. So you can just take it, put it into Photoshop, do a little cleanup, and you're done. But
Yeah,
these are really cool because it's thinner here. So if you need a real direct light, you put it in like that. But if you need more diffuse, you can either pop it up and bounce it, or this side is so much thicker, you get a lot less light. So depending on how you bend it, you can really vary your light. And it just does a wonderful thing with the light on it. And it's easy to use, quick to set up.
yeah. When we were talking earlier about bumping the ISO up and stuff, I that might come in more handy if you're, you know, if you're willing to mess with your ISO more. I had a Gary Fong, and I saw Rick said that Rich Bum ripped him over a Gary Fong diffuser before, and I used to have one of those, and I think I still have it, but I never used it because it seemed like it wasn't doing much for making the light bigger.
I don't think
Unless
so. I don't
unless
think it was that
yeah,
great.
unless you're gonna, because bouncing the light, the point of that is when you, like, if I'm standing here putting a light here, the light is gonna get, you know, the size of this picture frame by the time it hits the wall, and then it's gonna come back and be even more bigger into the room. So you want to try to make your source of light as big as you can to get softer shadows, you know. So when I'm using direct flash, I just always bounce. But diffuser wise, I've been messing with the shoot through umbrella lately, which I really like, because I've been lighting out the windows. So that's fun. But inside, I have, it's like a it's like an 18-inch softbox, and it's made for the bare bulb flash on the 200 comes with. So you got to swap that top out.
Yeah.
But once you put that thing on there, and I had that since back when I was using one of those like 8360s back in the day with like the power pack. It was like attached with the cord, and it was a bare bulb flash. So I had this thing on a stick, and I would carry it around and like flash whatever. But they still, since they send you the bare bulb flash with the here, I don't know if you guys know what it looks like, but it's this part. So it goes on here and attaches, and then it's just a little 18-inch softbox, and that's the one that I walk around with and like pop on the furniture, or like during twilights or something like that. But otherwise, for like overall lighting, I like to bounce. And then I also have like when I was shooting the Razor House, I had it's like a 36-inch softbox. So I was using that with the 200 on it, and then I was doing my fill light with like with the 600. So it was a 2 light setup, and I was kind of key light would be with the softbox because that's like your directional main light source, and then fill light was getting bounced into the ceiling. Um, but softboxes though, if you look up, it's called Easy Glow, like the letters EZ and then glow. Those are super high quality for a really low price. Like cheaper than all the other stuff I could really find. And I bought the shoot through umbrella. I have a parabolic, like a deep soft box, like a 24-inch one. Then I have a 36-inch soft box. And those things are great. So I would roll with one of those. But depends on what you're doing, I guess, like what you're gonna use it for. Would kind of be with like where I would send you. Like if you're gonna be shooting out the windows and stuff, you want something big. Um, that'll kind of mimic real, sunlight or whatever, and then kind of look soft coming in through the windows. Um, but if you're
Man,
gonna do,
even a big softbox, like when I shot the house that I have up there on the PFRE contest, I was using a bigger softbox on that, and that was even, I think it was like a 36 to 48 inch, and it was still coming
mm,
in a little harsh. Your best bet and stuff like that is to look at like how they do like film, using a book light, or actually bouncing it back into, something so it comes in even bigger, because a lot of times it's still going to come in pretty harsh,
I
through a
use a
window.
I use a 72-inch umbrella for out the window and a
oh
600
yeah,
that. And that unless you've got a giant bank of windows, that's going to do it. But even if you do, you just do one and then move it over, do it.
yeah, yeah. You
Um,
just do like little pieces of it at a time.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
keep
and
it
I mean, like
long pole thing.
the best light diffusion trick I've ever seen, which it's not really practical for real estate, is I mean you can hang up a sheet outside the window, and that's the best because you could just blast right in there, and then you don't have to worry about cutting the windows out or anything. Like they're just blown out. And it looks dope. But who has time to go and set up something outside the windows all the time? Like if you wanted to do like for I've done that for like when I'm shooting for an interior designer, and like I'm only shooting the kitchen, then you can set that light up outside, and then once it's set up you can shoot from all these different angles, and it always looks good.
Here's a cool thing
um
to do that's the reverse of that. When you've got that light coming in and you don't want it to, um, trash bags.
Hmm.
hmm
They're small, they're easy to move around. You just tape them up, block that light
yeah,
out. And that's a really good, even for real estate to do it.
yeah,
Gary
for
Gomez was big on that.
Yeah,
yeah, flagging, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I keep a couple flags and C-stands in my car, but I rarely use them on real estate. Interior design I will, but not
Yeah,
real.
same
Yeah.
here. Yeah, I have C stands and stuff in my garage, but I don't even bring them into the car ever. Like with real estate stuff, you can really just kind of, it just depends on what you're shooting, I guess. But like most of the stuff is going to be like a turn and burn kind of going quick. Um,
I
at
think it's
least it'll
faster
I
just
work.
to
like
walk
this
around.
because this is so much faster than, setting up
Yeah,
the reflectors and all that. Um,
yeah, yeah. And I prefer just bouncing if I can. Bouncing is, you get great light. And like I said, I'll take one from like, I kind of go, so if I'm shooting into a room, I'll go kind of to those far corners and bounce from each side, and then just mask myself in. And you get that light that's like coming towards the camera. So you get shadows in the foreground and stuff. That's what makes it look crispy. Um, so that's my bouncing is where that's the go-to.
Any other questions, guys?
we're done. We can go home.
I
I have a question.
do actually have a question.
Oh,
Go for it, Abigail.
okay. I'm so below with what you guys are all talking about with flambient. So I'm curious, what do you, any of you do HDR for the real estate, especially just like little condos, stuff like that? And then do you have like another level that you offer for designers and builders and luxury?
I used to
So
do
Abigail,
that.
I offer 3 levels of service. I offer essential, which for me is your HDR. And that I tell agents is great for homes up to, $700,000, or even, if they want to do it for, 1.7 million, like I'll still do it. I don't care. And then I offer premium, which is my flambient. And then I have luxury, which is more geared towards like your interior designers and stuff. And that's where I would come in, like what Gary's talking about, like flagging windows and spending all day
Mhm.
on one house. You're talking like 8 hours, 8 to 12 hours of a day. And then I'm charging a day rate. I'm not charging, anything based on the square footage. Um, but you should definitely offer different levels of service, but just make sure you're charging appropriately for those different levels, and that you can showcase what the differences are. And don't be afraid to tell agents if they get in a house, and like I do it all the time. If they pay for, or they said they want to do premium, and I get in the house and it's a shit box, I'm going to say, hey, let's bump
You
this
don't
down to
you don't need
essential,
all that.
because
Yeah.
I don't want to spend the time doing it, if it's just going to be a waste of time. And I think agents appreciate that I'm not trying to just like take their money and run.
They
Yeah,
do
that's totally
appreciate that.
understandable. I was thinking about trying to just do 2 levels, like a single exposure and HDR, but I just don't think my clients are going to see enough difference. So I'm starting to jump into this world of learning how to do flambient so I can just offer that next level up, because I do want to work for different types of interior, not just real estate agents,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exterior and
Um,
interior. But then how did you even just get started? Like, do you have some good resources about just even getting some basic gear to get started?
I
like
can I
gear.
can I have a
What do
couple
you
of
have now?
tutorials.
Yeah, Gary's got some great tutorials.
Okay.
So I learned, first off, straight through YouTube. I was a big YouTube university kid. Just went on there and just watched as many videos as I could, and then I met Gary like probably what 4 or 5 years ago now, Gary, and I took a couple
Yeah.
courses with him, and
Okay.
he's such a great knowledge, and he's not like just trying to sell you the next course like some of these guys are, and they sell you a course and you don't ever hear from them again. Gary's always so happy to help.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What gear do you
I'm
what gear
I've
around.
bought some courses for sure. It's kind of,
what gear
yeah.
do you have now?
So right now I'm doing real estate photography HDR, and then I do event photography, and I'm using this flash for events. I haven't done it for interiors yet, but I just have this one flash. It's nothing I've even heard you guys ever talk about. It's a Godox TT685.
That's old
Mm,
school.
Oh, it is. It's funny.
I'm
I mean,
curious
that's
what that
so they
is.
have it's like the predecessor to the Godox V1s and the
Oh,
V860s.
it's a speed
Oh,
light.
It's a speed light, yeah. That'll
Okay.
work. I mean, you can get that done with that. You're just gonna have to be shooting at higher ISOs and running that thing at full power, probably for some
Yeah.
rooms.
do you guys
Well, a lot
always,
of the
Uh,
time.
oh, sorry to interrupt. Do
Do
you
you
always use a
do you
stick
when
or a handle, or do you do it by hand and just like walk around the room and
I handhold. I think it's so
okay.
much
yeah.
faster than running around and setting up a tripod and then moving around.
Okay.
I'd
Yeah.
rather just, if I'm doing flambient because I'm using a cam ranger, or so that's the other thing. If you're gonna do flambient, you gotta either set it up by stick and walk back and hit the shot, or you gotta have a dummy trigger in your hand to trigger the remote, to trigger the camera, or you gotta have a cam ranger. I don't know what that is, man.
I don't know what it is either.
What's that
I think
thumbs up?
somebody liked it or something. Yeah. Okay. So me and Phil were on a Zoom just by ourselves, and it was doing that. I'm like, what is that?
Okay.
um.
I
So, but
definitely like to like
let
explore
me
some of
let
your
me jump in a
YouTube
little bit here, Abigail. So when you're doing that flash, when you're using that flash at weddings, are you doing it on camera or is it off camera?
on camera.
Okay. So do you know how to use off camera flash at all or no?
No.
Okay. So what you'll need first is triggers, like a trigger and a receiver.
Okay.
And you basically have the trigger You put the trigger on the camera, and then the receiver is attached to the flash, and that will make it able to trigger the flash while you're away, like off the camera, right?
Okay.
But then you'll run into the problem of like you'll have to go set the flash up and then walk back to the camera and take the shot or something like that, unless you have a camera trigger, like a wireless camera trigger.
Gotcha.
You can do flambient with on camera flash. It's a little, you're not going to get as good of results as if you're doing off camera flash, but you could start there and kind of get your basic flash usage down for the rooms. You're probably not shooting very big homes right now, so it's probably your speed light might work okay for now. Um, and then, like we were talking about, you can bump your ISO up a little bit and then kind of blend them, you know. And my course, the run and gun course, you could do basically on camera flash with that. And what
Yeah.
you're going to want to do is you set up the camera to point in front of you. You don't leave the back of the camera basically, and you just bounce the flash like behind you up into like the jamb of the wall and the ceiling, and it's going to come back down and spread all over the room. So what you're
It's
trying
very
to do with
inefficient.
that, yeah. Um, and what you're trying to do is cut your highlights down, like out your window, and you know if there's light coming in hitting a table or counter or something, you stop down on your exposure, and then you're doing it with fill flash to kind of light up all the shadows in there, so you don't just have a black photo. And then you blend those together, and that's the flambient method. But a place to start would be to do something like the run and gun method, where it's using, do you do your own HDR processing or do you send it out?
Here, I'm gonna turn this off. Let's see. Hey, hi guys. Sorry, I'm like so close.
No worries.
No, I use editors. I kind of know how to edit myself, but I need better equipment like all around. Like I'm just little by little, I'm working, putting into the business, working, putting the business. So I've just kept the computer I got a couple years ago, and I'm outsourcing so that, and also I don't know, I like to sleep. Otherwise I'm like up
Yeah.
all night.
Yeah.
Editing
So,
doesn't make you any money.
Sleep's nice, but whatever.
yeah. But I think
Um,
if I was working
So-
for higher end people, I want to learn how to do it myself with flambient.
Well, I think that with the on-camera flash to start with, so you can get your wheels on flash, you can outsource to your editors and still send them like a little bracket and then a flash pop, and that'll probably help them make better photos for you anyways.
Okay.
That's where I would start at. If you wanted to like learn how to process it yourself, then I would just kind of get one of my courses, or you know, you could ask the group or whatever. But there's a million ways to do that, you know what I mean? But to start out learning how to use your flash on interiors, I'd still stick with outsourcing and just kind of throw in the flash frame.
But
And then when you're ready to buy the triggers and stuff, then
Yeah.
you can start experimenting with the off-camera flash, and you'll
Okay.
see a change there too.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a better flash. So like you said, and the triggers.
Yeah.
what camera do you have now?
I'm using a Sony A7 III.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna send you, I'm gonna put some stuff in
You'll be
the chat for you to look
Okay.
at.
Okay, yeah, thanks for just kind of like taking this down a notch for me. But I
No
really
problem.
appreciate just listening to you guys talk. Thanks so much. I'll be
No
looking
worries.
at your YouTube channels.
Okay, cool.
Um,
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
the stuff on YouTube is gonna be like it's actually the more advanced stuff. But I go through a lot of that too. So at least like learning how to light and like what your goals are and kind of direction for lighting is, it gets tricky, you know, but really just always think no matter how big or nice the house is, you're always in a box. It's always the same thing. There's just
Okay.
walls, you know, so don't be intimidated by that. Just try to take your time when you're doing it, because learning flashes, it can be like stressful a little bit or like intimidating and stuff, but there's nothing like, if you take your bracket, you still always have your HDR. So What I would do too to start out is don't charge anything for using Flash. Just do it, you know. Um,
Okay.
and once you're comfortable with it, and then you see those differences, then create your tiers, you know. But just practice at first. Every time I get new gear, I practice on site on a paying job. Like the first time I'm using this lens, or the first time I'm using this light, or the first time I'm using an umbrella or whatever, I'm doing it on site, and I'm not telling anybody I'm doing something brand new. I just do it, you know. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's really good advice because I am concerned about practicing on paid jobs, but I guess I just have to do it. I mean,
you have to. Yeah.
okay,
I I
gotcha.
mean, you don't have to. You could probably shoot your house and stuff and practice there too. But I mean, the first
Oh,
time I turn it,
it's
yeah, the
so
first time I turn a
tiny.
light
I don't-
on, though, I'm doing it at the house, so you know,
All
just make
right.
sure it
Pick up
works.
on
But
something
yeah,
Gary said something that was really important too, is if you're already comfortable with your HDR, you know, adding flash, you've still got that HDR to fall back on. So
hmm
Okay.
experiment with the flash, try things, you know, and play with it yourself. And, you know, you've always got the HDR to fall back on, but you'll start to find what works and what doesn't work. And then just keep playing with that and work that flash in when and where you can.
Okay.
And then, you know, always cover yourself, cover your ass. Make sure you
hmm
have something you can always deliver and then experiment on your own. And that's I think really key. But that's the way to keep learning too. You know,
hmm
always feel free to play around and try something new. And if it doesn't work, learn why it didn't work. And the next time do something that'll fix that.
hmm
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm gonna
Oh,
turn
you're
this off
welcome.
now. My dog is
Cool.
being loud. Thanks so much. I'll
No
stay
worries.
in for a little bit.
All right. All right. Who's next?
I had a question. You might, I don't know if you answered it. I got in here late.
No worries.
How long are you spending per set of exposures for one composition when you're doing flambient? Like, would you say on average, like you're doing your bracket and you're doing your flashes, takes you like a minute and a half, 2 minutes for like,
I think it depends on the size of the room. Like,
sure.
if I'm doing like one of the rooms where it's because I shoot some big houses, so if I'm like doing the shot that's like from the corner of the living room, that's going to be looking into the kitchen from the living room and the dining room and all that stuff, that might be a couple more flash pops and a little more movement, you know. So that might take a couple more minutes, but your standard kind of stuff, my longest part of the process is the composition. I
Yeah.
I work on that like I'll work on it as long as I need to until it's perfect, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't really care because once that's set up, fine. The lighting takes nothing, you know. It's but I wouldn't mind spending a minute to 5 minutes on a composition if I have to.
Okay.
The only reason that that might take a longer time is if I'm messing with tilt shift lenses or doing something tricky, you know, like trying to get like a perspective or a reflection or something like it's in a weird position where I'm shooting down a staircase or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but spend that time. I mean, a lot of those shots, those are the ones I enter into the competitions and stuff like that. Like the harder compositions are the ones that most photographers aren't even going to try to spend the time doing, you know. And then once the composition's set up, I would say 1 to 3 minutes max for the rest of the stuff. I mean, and if it's a bedroom, it's seconds. You know, I
Right.
just
That's, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I've
I
been doing flambient for 5 or 6 years now. So, but I'm at this point where I'm trying, I think, too hard to make my images look like top level. And I end up spending way too long at a house shooting, 50, 60 photos sometimes. I think I was at a house for like 2.5 or 3 hours the other day just doing pictures.
oh yeah.
Are you getting paid for it?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
the
getting
same way.
I mean, I think I am for my market. I think I'm getting paid for that time.
That's all that
But
matters, you know. As long as
yeah,
you're
Totally.
getting paid the appropriate amount, spend as long as you need, you know, because you want to. If that's your goal is to be the top dog, spend as much time as you need and get paid for it.
Totally.
Because that's where it's going to benefit you the most is if you're taking the time like Gary and spending 5-10 minutes on a composition and getting the light right,
Yeah.
no one else is going to be doing that. They're going to be doing
Mhm.
the turning and burning and delivering subpart work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would definitely spend as much
If
time
you're
as you need,
charging
bro.
HDR rates for spending 2 hours in a house, you have a bit of a problem there.
yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, unless you're practicing or, you know,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, the way I think about it is I do this I'm not in real estate photography to be rich and, I'm in it because I love doing photography and I love shooting, dude. Like that's ever since I started doing photography, it's just what I like to do. Like I don't is when I'm shooting, I don't feel like anything else matters in the world. So if I could spend more time there, I'm cool with that. Like same with the editing. Like I'll spend the extra time editing just because I like being there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the money is like a byproduct of it because I'm doing good work. You know what I mean? And that takes time. So I'm all for spending more time, dude.
All right, cool. Yeah, I started to feel like a little self-conscious because my partner's blowing through houses doing flash, but I think he's only doing a couple pops of flash in a room, and I think I'm, like a dining room where you could see into like the entryway or a living room where you can see into the kitchen. I think I'm coming away with like 10, at least like close to 10 flash pops sometimes for the two conjoined rooms plus
are
Mhm.
you
the
editing
bracket.
yourself? Or are you sending off to outsource?
I'm outsourcing it. I've never edited myself, so I think that's part of maybe I'm overshooting because I'm unsure of
You
how
should ask your
exactly.
editor. Ask your editor, like take that example and ask
Yeah,
him, okay, I sent you, one ambient frame and then 15 flash frames. Of those, what did you actually use?
yeah,
Because a lot of
Yeah.
times they're probably getting a lot more latitude than you probably think out of,
mhm,
some frames where you're like doubling up or you probably didn't need to.
sure,
Um,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that people can take away from shooting full ambient is look at how the ambient light is in the actual
Hmm.
room, and that's all you need to spend. If you can mimic that like in one shot, in one flash shot, then you're good to go for the next thing. You
yeah.
know,
There's
Totally.
there's definitely times where I try and do that. I'll either like if I'm shooting towards the window, bounce it like you said off that wall and mimic the way the light's falling with the shadows towards the camera and all that.
yeah,
I think I might just get a little OCD on how the light's looking on the back of the camera and try and fill in spots. But um,
yeah,
yeah, and there's two methods. There's like either you nuke the whole room or you just attack the problem areas where the light's not great.
yeah,
Yeah, I kind of, I mean, I do what Phil said is I look at how the light's falling into the room and I try to get as close as I can to mimicking that, unless I'm just doing like a quick, like a bedroom. If you just
yeah,
kind of just blast it into that like that little joint above the door and it
Yep.
gets everywhere, and you can mix that a little bit with some ambient in the foreground, and you're good. But your editors will handle all that. If you like what their output is, then you're good to go. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think you might be doing a little overkill. But I think asking your editor what they need would probably be better because I know that sometimes I'll take 10 flash frames, but I only use 3 flash frames in my edit.
Mhm.
Um, and but I kind of do the same thing. Like I'll be like, I don't like how it fell right here, or I see myself in the reflection a little bit, so I got to move over here.
Yep.
And there'll be a reason why I took another flash frame in that position. Um, but outside of that, I kind of you're just only going to use what you need to pull in there. And I bet your editors are doing the same thing. Like if you're sending them 15 frames for one shot, they're probably using 3.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you using a cam ranger or anything?
No, it's been on my list to get, but no, I'm just walking back to the camera after every so many
Mm,
Oh,
shots and
there you
checking.
go. That's what's taking
I know
you.
that's a time suck
yeah.
too.
Yeah. Well, dude,
I bet you. I bet you're
you
killing
spend
half hour
300
to
bucks, bro.
45
Yeah.
right there.
Spend 300 bucks on that camera ranger, you're gonna double your production time, dude.
Okay.
And that's cutting your hours in down right there.
Yeah.
Like Yeah, that $300 spread out over a month, or even over. Think about it over a year. That the Cam Ranger, I've had the same one for like 5 years.
Okay.
How much time you're gonna save on that over the course? I mean, it pays for itself in
What
seconds.
what camera do you have, Nick?
Z9.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I know for
Is that a
me,
Nikon?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
the Sony they're harder because I know Gary does a bracket before he does the flambiant shot, right? Sony, you
Mm,
can't do that. You can't do both. And when you have the trigger
mm,
turned on, it fucks with the aperture and everything. So you need to have to switch to like a different mode dial. So I just shoot one ambient shot. I shoot it at plus 1.7 on the exposure dial. And that gets me pretty close to like somewhat usable. But yeah, get a Cam Ranger, man.
Okay.
So good.
yeah, I've seen. I remember somebody was shooting with a Nikon at one of my workshops, and they were able to set it up where the flash did brackets,
Yeah.
and that was pretty trippy.
What?
Yep.
Canon doesn't do that. Yeah.
I shoot Nikon, and the way I generally attack a room is I expose for the walls. I look at
Mm,
the walls and I get a good even exposure for those walls. And then the record button on the Nikon, since you're shooting stills, I turn that into the bracket button.
Yep. That's what I got.
Okay.
mm,
And then I just do +2 and -2 from that.
Okay.
And then I take it out of bracket mode and turn on the flash. And then I'll set the exposure for just barely over the window exposure. So the windows are slightly blown out,
Okay.
and then I'll pop the flash into that. And for me, that works pretty good as far as getting um, generally what I want for the ambient, either by combining the brackets or using. Usually, I just use one of the brackets, but sometimes I'll have to combine them, and then that flash, and that usually does it for me and works pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, Cam Ranger, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kept, I see people use it every once in a while, and the hiking back and forth is definitely a lot, especially when you're
What's
doing a flash down a long hallway.
what's been holding you back from getting it?
I honestly forget to just put it in my cart and buy it.
Mm, yeah, bro,
I
do
thought I
that. You're
thought they
gonna.
were more expensive than 300, so maybe that was part of it too. But 300's
Yeah,
that's a
I
house.
think they have a cheaper one. So I mean, the 300 is like the Pro 2 or whatever it is, and
Okay.
I like that one because
Definitely
it
get the
has
two. Yeah, the two
yeah,
is like it's
it
so
has
much better
like
than the other one.
cool features. Yeah.
I've got that for the Nikon, and that'll fire a Nikon. It's just a little pocket thing. It was $100.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah, but
I have a camera trigger. I've got that whole setup, and that's fine. It's just when I'm running down the hallway with the flash, unsure of
Oh,
how those exposures are turning out, you know?
yeah,
it gets to a
yeah.
point where you just know that you've got it.
Well,
You've
yeah.
got enough that I'm going to stand here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to stand there. I'm going to do it, and I just move on.
Yeah.
Mm,
And you can cover so much shit with either the ambient. It doesn't have
yeah.
real estate. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus your editors are probably thinking the same thing. Like they're like, oh, it's good enough. Like
Yeah.
they're like magicians sometimes. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I
Cool.
think they're just as lazy as we are.
I like to think that, but I don't know.
I don't know what when I see my adjoining room flash blends come back, I definitely feel like they skipped a step sometimes. It's just extra
There's
hot, like the white balance is off, and so when I get it back, I gotta go blend it myself real quick and fix that one spot.
Oh, I'd call them out.
mhm.
I mean, you're paying them. If you're not happy, you need to let them know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped doing it altogether because I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. But it just sometimes it helps, and sometimes I don't. It doesn't give me like the look I want though. They're I think they like just really like white everything out and kill all the shadows, and I like shadows. So
Yeah.
yeah. I think we got about 10 more minutes, guys. Me and Phil gotta dip out pretty soon. So Anybody else want to jump in?
How's
Any,
how's your guys' markets doing like over the winter? Did you see
Dead
a
over
like
here.
significant drop compared to
I
last few
mean,
years?
it's been way slower this year
Yeah.
for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
nothing
but
from
then
last year. Last year was dead for me.
yeah, last year was
Way
bad
better
too.
than last year.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
year to
There's
date, year to date for us, we are up 68%.
that's nice.
from January to today.
From no year to date, from year to date, we're up 60% compared to last year.
Okay.
Hmm. Nick, where are you at?
And then,
Portland.
Okay.
yeah, y'all are, I think I've heard y'all have been down, right?
Yeah, it was I mean since maybe late October into November, everything just hit bottom for I mean right now it's just starting to pick up for me. I know a couple guys who started picking up a couple weeks ago, but they're doing it, you know, the cheaper form of what I
Mm.
do. So, um
Yeah, I'm in the Mid-Atlantic in Virginia, and I mean, I'm busier than I was probably middle of the summer last year. I mean, it's crazy out
really,
here right now. Yeah,
okay.
but I'm in a market where we have two huge metropolitan areas. I got DC and north of me, and then I have like Virginia Beach to the other side, and like Charlotte. And those areas, people are just flocking out of. And they're coming to where I live in Richmond. So
Okay.
it's been good.
Yeah, well that's good. That's good to hear. Yeah, I wasn't sure how I saw as people in warmer markets obviously don't feel as much of a dip as everyone else, but it's just been piss and rain here for 3 months. And everything just always slows
There's
down anyway.
yeah, it's been pretty rainy here. I mean, not as bad as up there, I'm sure, but compare. I mean, we're not usually getting a lot of rain, so it's been pretty bad.
Right.
But yeah, and then just house prices being up high with the high interest rate is median house price here is like 1 million. So it's like I mean, a mortgage payment is like 6 grand, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't know who's trying to get into that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, what I have been shooting, I shoot the super luxury stuff, and that stuff they just pay cash and they don't carry a mortgage, so it doesn't really seem to affect them as much, you know.
Right.
Um, so that's been kind of nice.
A
But
lot of
as
those
far
they
as like
borrow against their stocks.
yeah, I mean,
You know, I
dude,
mean,
some of the houses I'm shooting, like it's $20 million house, and it's like the fifth house the guy owns, and they don't even live in it, you know. It's crazy.
you're in the
Man.
wrong line of work, man.
Yeah,
I was literally shooting in a blizzard the other day. The snow was up to my knees. And
that's insane.
yeah, the market here, like I'm pretty much Niagara Falls, Canada, so the,
Mm,
the snow's been rough and yeah, it's just been slow overall, but starting to pick up again now. But I hate shooting in the cold. Like I have a video to do tomorrow morning and
hmm.
I'm just dreading it because I know my hands are just gonna be freezing, like -5, -6. Like
I've never even been in weather like that, dude. I like but I love exteriors in the snow. Like snowy exteriors look so nice, and I've never gotten to shoot in the snow before, but they look so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm jealous a
like
little
it
bit.
looks cool, but like you have to like I just did a shoot the other day and it just started snowing so hard. And so now you have to take even more brackets so that you can use darken mode to get rid of the snowflakes, or else it looks like a cat scratched the photo. There's just so much white
Mm,
going through the frame. So yeah, you have to take a ton of exposures just to be able to darken mode all of it out, and it's a hassle.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to deal with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it
If
must
it's
be nice.
raining,
Oh my God.
if it's raining here, the whole town shuts down. So
Ridiculous.
people
Yeah.
keep their kids home from school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one thing out in Texas. I can't remember if it was last year, but it's like Texas got a bit of snow, and because they don't have
Oh,
yeah, that like infrastructure or whatever like in place for that type of weather, they were like in a state of emergency.
Mhm.
pipes
And
froze,
meanwhile,
man. People
yeah,
had died. It was wild.
we're over here going, I'd be like driving to the grocery store and that, like we'd be going for
Oh
like
yeah.
walk, we're having a great time.
I was
Yeah.
just telling Phil the rain. It was raining here. I mean, it's been rainy or whatever, but like I think we got 3 inches of rain in a day, and it would look like Katrina. Like houses were flooding, and people
Wow.
died, and it's still like they're recovering a little, like south from where I live, from 3 inches of rain. So
Wow.
I'm like, 3 inches of rain falls in like an hour in Virginia. It's crazy.
Well, this last
We're
Christmas
not
that
built for
went
it.
by, there was so much snow that this never happens to us, but there was so much snow that the snowplows got stuck. So there was like people in old folks' homes, there was like oxygen en route to them, and the oxygen couldn't get to them, so people were running out of oxygen. And then like the power went out, so then the machines were not like working properly after a certain amount of hours, and this lasted like about a day. And yeah, a bit of people died in their cars and shit like that, and
That's
was
crazy.
it was rough.
That's crazy. It's been weird weather,
Mhm.
but
But hey man,
I mean,
I appreciate you opening up this Zoom for us and
no worries,
having
dude.
me to come
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. So next Monday I'll have another one. I don't know what time it's gonna be at yet, but yeah, it seems like it's cool. I mean, I want to help. I mean, that's kind of like it's been slow for me, so I'm just like, what can I do? And I find that I like connecting with other photographers, and I like to help people do better. So I'm gonna be here as long as I can, doing this with you guys.
Yeah,
Gary, someone asked if you're gonna post this video.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Last time we had someone on that was kind of like, "Hey, dude, are you gonna post that online?" Because we were talking about pricing. Like, I didn't want that like getting out to my clients or something. And I was like, the last one wasn't worth posting anyways. But I mean, if everybody's if ever
There's a few things that were happening there.
yeah. But this one, I think it went good, and I mean, I'd be down to post it if everybody's cool with it. You know, like I don't know if anybody's like, nah, don't put me on there or whatever. But it looks like it cool. Yeah, then I mean, I'll post it. I'll probably put it on my YouTube or something, and then I'll let you guys know when we're doing the next one.
yeah, every time I pop on my YouTube, I'm like, oh, does Gary have a new video coming out? Like I'm waiting for that next little tutorial to drop, you know? You know how many times I've watched your videos over and over and over again to try to like drill it into my brain. Like most of those views are probably just me going, all right, let's watch it again.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
super helpful.
Great, dude. That's that's all I need to keep going. So I'm glad.
Right on, guys. I got to dip out,
All
but
right,
no, thanks
all right,
again
guys.
for that. And
No worries,
yeah,
man.
chat to you
We'll
soon.
check. Yep, for sure. Take care.
Bye.
All right, guys. I think I
Yep.
mean, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.
Hey,
Cool.
thanks.
Guys, have a
Thanks,
good one.
Gary.
What's
No worries,
your
guys.
YouTube,
Gary,
uh,
what's your
Yeah.
YouTube link?
what's your YouTube?
Just oh let me see. Just search my name. My last name's Kasl. But let me
Oh, okay, perfect.
Isn't it
yeah.
Sandcastle Imaging or something like that?
And, nah, it's just under my name, Gary Kasl. Here, I'm grabbing the link right now. All right, I think that's it right there. So yeah, just copy it, or I mean, search my name or whatever, and it'll come up.
Yeah, got it. Thanks a lot.
Perfect.
Thanks a
All
lot,
right.
guys, for letting me come into the meeting. All right.
No worries. All right.
Bye.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Ernie,
Bye,
Take
guys.
care.
good one.
Bye.
Yeah, there you go.
I got one. All right. Later.